If you ask any scientist or researcher which is the most beneficial creature on Earth, more than 99% will say bee. And they're right. It's a correct answer. Truly, if bees didn't exist, many living creatures would go extinct, and even human life on Earth would be at risk. Of course, this doesn't mean that other insects are worthless. Every living creature has an important role in its own place. But if we were to choose one creature among them all as the most important, the bee would win the gold medal. In this program, we're going to talk about a special kind of bee. A bee that, unlike other bees, doesn't go after flowers and plants, but goes after meat instead. In this video, we're going to talk about the vulture bee. Unlike other bees, the vulture bee is not found everywhere in the world. There are only 3 species of this type of bee. All of them live in the forests of Central and South America. Vulture bees don't go after flowers and plants, but it's not because they're lazy. In fact, they're even smarter than other bees. As their name suggests, they go after carrion, feeding on dead animals. Just like vultures, which are heroes of nature for cleaning up the environment, these bees are also kind of nature's heroes. They find and eat various carcasses. Unlike honeybees, they don't produce honey. Instead, they build nests using their feces, which contain extracts from the meat of the carcass. However, it's worth mentioning that these bees are not strictly carnivores. If they find flowers, plants, or fruits, they will eat them too, but their main food is meat. The vulture bees that are seen are usually workers. Their entire effort goes toward the comfort of the queen, building bigger nests, expanding the colony, increasing the population, and storing food. Scientists still don't know why these bees are found only in Central and South America. There is a mystery in the life of vulture bees. Researchers have not yet been able to determine why this type of bee exists only in that part of the world, or exactly what happened over millions of years that led it to become a meat-eating bee. Although this bee closely resembles other bees, it has one major difference: its carnivorous diet. You might say, don't stingless bees or hornets also eat meat? Yes, they do, but not in the same way. They don't feed on rotting meat and decaying carcasses like the vulture bee does. And that's what makes it truly unique. The body of this bee has evolved in a way that allows it to neutralize any microbe, disease, or toxin. That's why it can eat rotting carcasses without getting sick at all. In a way, you could say it's the janitor of the Central and South American forests. Because, for example, when a vulture feeds on a carcass, it can't finish it all. A lot is left behind on the ground. That's where the mission of these bees begins. When vulture bees are done with a corpse, only the bones are left, and that means true natural cleanup. One of the fascinating things about this bee is its nest, which is made from meat extract. The appearance of its nest is completely different from that of other bees. Interestingly, when the vulture bee eats sweet substances or flowers and plants, it also produces honey, but it doesn't mix it with the meat-based part. It stores the honey separately and uses the meat extract separately for building its nest. As for the honey, the bees give it to the queen so she can further expand the colony. What's really interesting is that the bee clearly understands it's eating 2 different types of food, and it never lets them mix. Now, a question comes up. If this bee can eat flowers and plants and even produce honey, then why did it become a meat eater, specifically a scavenger? Because of the abundance of carcasses. Over millions of years, this bee realized that feeding on carrion means its stomach will always be full. But relying on flowers and plants isn't stable. It might end up going hungry. Scientists agree with the theory that vulture bees became scavengers due to the abundance of carcasses. And in doing so, they've taken on a surprising role in serving nature. Of course, the vulture bees itself doesn't know the service it's providing to the ecosystem, but we do. One strange and fascinating fact observed among indigenous peoples of Central and South America is that they actually eat the meat extract produced by these bees, the very substance used to build their nests. It's kind of disturbing, really. They call this fermented meat paste honey, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with real honey. And when asked why they eat it, they say it's very sweet and tasty. Of course, regular people would never try this themselves just to see if the locals are telling the truth. But scientists have tested it, and they strongly recommend you don't put it anywhere near your mouth. Even though the bacteria and diseases are neutralized inside the bee's body, there's still a risk of infection. Scientists worked hard to figure out what this meat extract tastes like. Not by tasting it themselves, but through lab analysis. Tests showed that it likely has more of a metallic, iron-like taste than anything sweet. So who are the enemies of this bee? It doesn't have any specific enemies, but sometimes, if certain birds spot them, they might eat them. No animal threatens them except for the two-legged kind. Humans are their greatest threat. Not because they kill them directly, but because deforestation shrinks their habitat, leading to their disappearance.